Hello and welcome to Position 6, the podcast in which I, Daniel Offen, aka Mr. Big Jams, talk to some of the most exciting and important people at the Dota 2 scene about everything Dota related, aside from crowbarring a Sven into every single lineup. This week's episode is with SunBhie. SunBhie started in the Korean scene, attending the International with MVP Hot Six, a team which contained multiple amazing players. He later became coach of TNC and then moved on to become the coach of Team Secret, helping to shepherd the team through some of the most successful periods, including this season where they've won pretty much everything. The episode was recorded just before the Epicenter Major and we released it afterwards so that he wouldn't jeopardize a team's success by revealing any strats, but I think it's a really great episode regardless of when it was recorded, and I think you'll really enjoy listening to it. If you'd like to talk about the episode while listening to it, you can join the Position 6 Discord channel, which you should be able to find in the episode description, or follow me on Twitter at Daniel Offen, and that's spelled Daniel and then O-F-F-E-N. And please do let me know there if you've got any feedback or comments. Pretty much anything is welcome. If you'd like to support me financially, you can find a link to my Patreon in the episode description, and pretty much all contributions there are massively appreciated and generally go to helping to improve the show and make it a better experience for everyone. And the episode will kick off right now.
Me.
So from when we're recording, you've got Epicenter coming up for Team Secret. You might imagine that's quite an obvious question, that it's been quite a good season for you, but how's it been so far?
Yeah, we went to ESM Birmingham. I think it was a good learning experience to see, what works, what doesn't. Of course, Dota is very much a new game every 2 weeks, even in the same patch. So we don't really know what to expect in the coming Epicenter, but we're keeping our eyes out, watching the minor and playing pubs and talking about stuff. Yeah, I don't know what to really expect, but I'm pretty confident in our problem-solving skills as a team. So hopefully we'll do well.
And obviously this season's been, for any team ever, one of the best seasons in Dota history. Has it felt like that while you're in it, or has it felt just like one tournament at a time?
Certainly one tournament at a time. Obviously, we're doing quite well, and I think we're aware. That said, it just feels a little weird because, I don't know, I remember, getting beat by Liquid all the time. Like, in the past 2 TIs I've been with Team Secret, we've been knocked out by Liquid twice. And Liquid, prior to their win, they had such an amazing run, and even after that, they were so dominant. I don't really know if people refer to us as we've been doing so well for so long. I don't really feel that. Time frame doesn't feel right. But at any rate, we're doing good right now, so it's great. Feels good. I don't think it's getting to our head or anything, but one game at a time.
And we're almost at the International, and quite a lot of you just mentioned that Liquid came into the International as favourites almost and won. A lot of people have told me that being favourites in the International is not a particularly enviable position, and that you're kind of not necessarily guaranteed to win. Does it feel like that you're a bit worried going in as favourites?
I've, in all my experience of TI, both as a player and a coach, I've never been a favorite, so I don't know what that feels like. I guess right now we're doing well going into it. I think at the top there's these teams that we know, as Team Secret, we know, and I'm sure they know too, that they're just capable of greatness and given the chance. And there's about there's actually so many teams. There's 4 to 6 teams or something like that can just show up. And so I don't know how confident we really feel about TI. The best thing I can say is that we're confident in ourselves, and hopefully that'll carry us through. But feels good, feels strong. It's a nice feeling.
In your time with Team Secret, the past 2 seasons, there's been a number of times when you've been ahead and been the team to beat in the early part of the season, and then there's been a decline towards the end. This season, that hasn't happened yet. Well, obviously depends what happens at Epicenter and TI, but has there been a different approach you've taken to being in front and how you've adapted to other teams seeing you as the team to beat?
That whole thing about early seasons, a little bit odd to me. I've been with Secret for, I think, 3 iterations. It was the Kezu MP version and so forth. I don't think with Kezu MP version we were ever so dominant to a point where early season. I think certainly the Fada Ace one, yeah, we were very strong, strongest one so far. I lost track of the question. I got carried away with the whole, yeah.
I guess the core of the question is, when you're ahead like you are now, and I imagine there must be a sense that the other teams, and I know you said there are a lot of strong teams, but there must be a sense that the other teams see Team Secret as a team to beat. Is there an approach that you then have to take to keeping yourself ahead?
Right. Yeah, I think there is. And I think you also said something about, has there been a different approach? I think the core approach has been the same. Of course, we've learned a lot from our iterations of secrets, and we employed what different tactics we could. But ultimately, I think the core of what the team wants to be and how we want to approach Dota has been the same. So on that front, no, not much difference. It's just the team chemistry is really important. That's really it. It just fits right now. Zai is an incredible.
Team Secret has always been a team that has felt like it's been happy to make quite a lot of roster changes and shifts in personnel. Would you agree with that? That it's a team that's been happy to snip and snip?
What I can tell you is like I can't really speak a whole lot for the previous iterations of Team Secret, but I can say what I know Puppy is that he experiments not just with Dota, but a lot of different things like on a more like a human level, like a team stuff. If something has worked before or if something doesn't work, it's more like if something doesn't work, he's willing to quickly change and adapt. The first thing that I noticed about him, like when I first worked with him, is like it was very obvious to me that there was a reason why this dude has been crushing the scene for the past like decade. That part was very obvious to me. Like it's not an ordinary person in that way. As far as like team secrets, like not a shy team to change stuff if it doesn't work. Surely there is that and that's just the nature of Dota as well. Because Dota is a shifting and changing game like very fast, and the players also must move on with the game as well, and it kind of changes your psyche, I think, in a lot of different things. However, we don't make changes willy nilly. When we make changes, I think we make changes with very purposefully, and once we really feel like we've played all our options, we've given it all. We never just roster change. We've always given it a full season before we moved on.
When Team Secret bring in a player like Zai, there's not a lot of surprise. He's a huge player with a huge history. But when you bring in someone like Nisha, who has had small amount of competitive experience, is there a degree of scouting that you do to make sure he's the absolute best player? What are the quality? Is it just MMR that you look for, or are there different qualities that you go, this guy's a world beater?
I think it was kind of obvious. Like when good Dota players see another talent, it's very obvious that this guy like can do it. He's there's like no question really. When you see Nisha play with his former team and the stuff that he was able to do, I don't think anyone really questioned his legitimacy. Everyone was happy to see like happy to play with him. And I think Puppy said this before, and I believe him when he says like he's able to just smelt a good player out of any like raw material, raw ore. Like he can get a good player out of. If you just listen to him and like he can make a good carry out of many different players. That being said, Nisha is incredible. So I mean, it was very obvious. Anyone can tell. Yeah. So no question.
And how big would you say your personal role is in that smelting of a player? Do you work very closely with Nisha, for example, in turning him from what is a raw talent into a very professional player?
Right. So role of a coach in the setting of Team Secret.
Yeah.
I think a role of a coach is different in every team. I don't think there is necessarily like one archetype of a coach for Dota. For what it's worth, I can tell you right now, every single one of these players are better than me. I guess what I bring is perspective and, a second opinion, and I guess a bit of a strategic input, if there is any. But on the micromanagement of making Nisha a better player per se, no, I don't really partake in that. Because the Dota that you play is to the puppy's vision. So if anyone is going to tell Nisha what might be more right or wrong, it's not even really about right or wrong, because when you're at the level of these players, every decision that they make is sort of right. They're all on the bell curve of right. It's just you're just bending them to be more aligned with how Puppy perceives the game, how he wants to play the game. So if there's any changes to be made, it's just that you're just trying to align 5 heroes Dota into more streamlined towards like puppies. So that's what really happens.
So you'd say your role is more top down and guiding them to a wider idea of Dota rather than coming from the bottom up and working with them skill wise as players. Would you agree with that?
Yep, I think so. For the most part, I really don't try to. I'll touch to like the macro level, yeah, like the top down, like macro level, but on the small things, no. And like even then, I will not talk to players directly. A lot of times, I will talk with Puppy and see like if I'm on the right track to like to how he perceives the game.
Mm-hmm.
So then like we can go from there.
Is your role then more stats based, more analytical? Because you work with an analyst, don't you?
I do work with an analyst. Our analyst Elvin is amazing, but no, it's stats are great. Analyst, really hard to pinpoint exactly what I do. I'm a lot of times I'm like, so players, imagine a circle. Players have to be very supportive of each other. All five of them have to be very supportive of each other, and like, hey, if one guy's like, I think this is good, then the four other guys have to be like, yeah, we think this is good too, because that's what being a team is. You have to all believe in the same thing. I'm a guy that sits a little bit outside of that circle and is able to observe what they're saying, but be able to throw in an alternate like opinion if need be, because they're drinking the same Kool-Aid and I can see them drink it, but maybe I don't like it. Like, so I have that, like, a lot of times that's like what I have to do, like the clarity.
Are you aware of how other coaches work?
I know a little bit, not really. I mean, I think the Chinese coaches are incredibly dominant. They are the leaders of the team a lot of times. At least one team, I think, like they are the strategic mastermind behind how their team plays Dota.
Whereas compared to, if you were to compare yourself to say QQ from PSLGD, you'd say he's top down, whereas you're more of a mirror and a reflector for Puppy, a magnifier, if it were.
Yeah, right. So like I'm the guy that like refines ideas. I'm the guy that like you bounce ideas off to, and all I know is like if we are ever maybe discussing an idea, perhaps, and it's not just me, right? Like there's all the other players get involved in this discussion too. I'm not to take credit for what we come up with in the end or whatever, but if it filters through all of us in the end, and if the idea passes, then it's good. It's like we know it's solid.
Has that system and how you've worked with Team Secret changed over the 3 years you've been with the team? When you first started, were you like, this is what I do and it's been the same ever since? Or have you changed and adapted to the flow of how the team work?
I think it did certainly change. I think when I first joined the team, I didn't know what my place in the team was. I had some very strong ideas about how I perceived the game. At the same time, I was very careful, obviously, because I'm never really the type to really like press my ideas onto a team, especially in the position of a coach, because I don't know how the team really plays. I need to learn how the team plays first. At any rate, yeah, there was a learning curve. There was a learning curve to my role within the team, and it's come to a point where I feel like it's gotten more comfortable, and it's been kind of different each time in the different iterations of the team. Right now is, I would say, more simple, but yeah, it's always changing, it's always improving.
Would you like there to be more of a precedent for how a coach, because I've spoken to a number of coaches on this podcast, from Heen to Loader to Kips and other people on top of that, and they've all given me different answers about what a coach does and what a coach is. Would you like there to be more of a sense of this is what you need to do, or do you think it has to be quite an adaptive role?
I think it's just different. It's just differs between the team, like what the team needs. Ultimately, like you're just trying to help the team win, and I have a very simple principle: whatever wins is the answer, like in everything regarding Dota, that is. So like, you join a team and you just find out what you need to do for the team to succeed, and you just do that as best as you can. So if you need to be more commanding, and if you are the guy that clicks heroes and decides what the team needs to play, then so be it. Do that. If not, then you must still find a way to be useful and help the team win.
Did you operate quite differently at TNC, for example?
No, I think for the most part in TNC, I played a very similar role, because during that time, Demon was the captain for TNC, and Demon had a very strong vision as to how he approached the game. And I think he did a very good job, by the way. I had a big respect for how he operated the team.
Did you enjoy the transfer from playing to coaching? Do you like being a coach more than you liked being a player, or would you like to go back to playing?
I think for a long time, coaching was like maybe not the thing that I wanted to do. Or it's like I really enjoy coaching. I think I've always enjoyed coaching. To teaching and coaching is like it's a fun thing to do. That said, there's always this ambition to succeed as a player. A lot of that is kind of gone now, given my current position. I'm not nearly as competitive as I was back then, and to be frank, having seen what I've seen of what these players are really capable of at the very top level, I wouldn't say that I could never play against them, but I certainly wouldn't be the favorite. I think it's they're quite incredible players.
Do you take quite a lot from your playing career into your coaching role? Because you had quite a good career. You played with a really interesting group of players, I think. Did you take a lot from that experience to what you do now, or could you have almost not been a player and do what you do now?
I think it was very important for me that I had played to understand the player's struggle on a human level, especially because I was I was a failing player for so long with only a moment of a glimpse of success. It was very important for me to understand the team dynamics, because so much of Dota is not even about the game, but of just human relationship between players. Of course, also being in the position when your job is to win and losing is, crime. It really pushed me to think critically about how to win on a strategical level. So I think the experience was invaluable all around.
Is there a lot of that human level in what you do now or think about in terms of how players act and what the struggles they go through personally? Is that something you think about and deal with a lot?
Absolutely. I think it's one of my strongest feats is compassion. Human emotions and human relationships. It's very complex. Even as, it's a you have to always be careful because it's so easy to break trust and stuff. That said, I think with our current version of the team, it's so far been, a non-issue, which is a real blessing. People are very easygoing. They're very easy to be with, to be a teammate. They're good teammates, and actually, that's very important. Part of being a top tier player, like a tier 1 player, is not only Dota skill, but your ability to work well with others. And truly, these guys have it all. They really do bring both to the table. So if you're ever a player that's trying to make it, it's equally important that you work on your people skills as your Dota skills.
Is part of that good vibe at the moment in Team Secret just that you're winning all the time, so there's nothing for anyone to really be angry with anyone about? Or is the good vibe begetting the winning? If that makes sense as a question.
Yeah, absolutely. Dota is an emotional experience. Losing sucks. It could bring out the worst in you. That is an interesting question. How would we be functioning if we had been losing? Well, what I can say is I don't know for sure. I don't know Zai and Nisha too much, other than the months that I've known them. So certainly I don't know their worst. But I feel like I know Puppy, Mid1, and Yapsor quite well, because we have endured many defeats together in the past, and I can say for sure that they're good teammates. They're stand-up teammates. So I don't think it's all based on success. I can trust them to be good teammates even in the times of hardship.
Going a touch into those times of hardship, we don't have to go too deep emotionally, but in terms of the failings at the international and the results there not being as good as possible, were there quite difficult periods for the team to pick themselves back up on, or are people like Puppy and such good competitors that they just brush it off and get on to the next thing?
Wow. I think that's difficult to answer. I don't know. I think this confidence is really important. I really agree with No Tail when he said, Dota's a mental game and it's all about confidence. Or paraphrase, it was something along those lines. The tier 1 players, the really top tier ones, they really believe that they have what it takes to make it, to be the best. And I don't think these defeats really bring them down. They only look forward to the future, like a better future of building a stronger team and looking to compete. They are hungry for more. And so to answer the question, could the TI defeats really bring them down? Maybe for a moment, but I think they are able to quickly like brush it off because they have the confidence to be the best, and that they're looking to prove it to others as well.
Has Team Secret always been a team in your time with them that's believed they could win every single game? Has there always been that confidence through the players?
They absolutely are like that. And I think we have shown many, like we've shown numerous comebacks that, quite frankly, I am watching it as a coach in the backstage. I'm going, why are we not calling GG? And we turn it around. These guys have a heart of champions. They really do play every game as if they can win it, and that's good. It feels good to be able to coach a team like that, because like that's a scary team. If you can win every game that you can win, and if you can win games that you're supposed to lose, that's a mark of a good team, very strong team.
I want to go a bit into Puppy, because I've spoken a lot about Puppy on this podcast with other people, as we spoke about a little earlier, as what makes him such a successful captain. You mentioned earlier that it's due to his adaptation and ability to change up what he's doing. Do you think that's the core of it, or is there something else that's made Puppy probably the most successful captain of all time?
He's very fun person to be with. He's just he's a Chad. He's a super Chad, man. He's just really fun to be with. He's charismatic in that way because of that. Charisma, I think, is basically a skill for people to like you. He has that going. But yeah, adaptation, he has that. And he also seems to have this uncanny ability to understand Dota like really quickly whenever it changes. So yeah, those two big things, like he really gets Dota, and he's easy to like his teammate.
Do you think he has the ability to stay on top for forever? Because a lot of people have told me it's very hard to be the top dog, and you can't be the top dog forever, because eventually you're going to be found out, or eventually the patch is going to be changed. In the way that Secret were currently with that adaptation, is it possible for him to remain the top team?
Yeah, I think he can remain in top as long as he wants to remain on the top. That's like for everyone, I think, because like Dota is a tiring game, I think, because of so many changes. It's really no longer the game that I once fell in love with like 16 years ago or whatever. But it's our competitive drive and, the core love for the game that keeps us going. As long as Puppy wants to keep winning the game and keep liking the game, I think it'll continue, because he already has a family, and he's able to still commit and stay on top. So there's really no reason why you can't. I feel he's really good at pressing spells and buttons too. So it's like, what's stopping him really?
Do you think people get too old, or do you think age isn't really a concern?
Age is only a concern in terms of focus. I remember like I'm older than Puppy by a year, and I remember like myself in 16 as to myself now, and I think I briefly spoken about this topic with Puppy as well. Even he believes that his 18-year-old self would beat the crap out of him in Dota, like of his current self. So personally, I think focus is really like difficult. When I was 16, I remember my focus being absolute. There could be people around me talking, loud music, whatever. Couldn't break my focus. Nowadays, it's like I need to consciously be focused, otherwise it breaks, and it's difficult. So age does matter because in that regards, and I think there's also other distractions like life coming in your way. But I don't think it's big enough to really like it's these are hindrances, but ultimately I think you can stay competitive, and that's what's important. I think you can stay competitive and you can stay on top if you really give it all. Because there's like what Mayweather's like 40 and he's still the best boxer in the world. Why can't we sit on our asses and play games? I don't think it's yeah, it's whatever, I think.
But a lot of people have told me that that's definitely true for support players and players 5 to 3 perhaps, but the core players, the 1 and 2, have to be slightly younger. From your player selection in Team Secret, it seems you agree with that and that you've often gone for quite young cores. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, that might be true, but I think maybe that's because core players actually have like core matchups and how like these lanes play out. It's insane. How fast it progresses is really insane. You really need to stay on top of it. I think it's more like how much you care and focus. If there is a 27-year-old like mid player that's crushing the scene, I wouldn't surprise me. It would just mean that like that guy is insanely committed. Because sometimes like mid one will explain to me why the mid lane was hard for him in a particular game. Yapsor and I could be like listening to it, and he'll lose both of us like halfway through. We just don't care. Like it's way too crazy. Like all this information is like insane to us what he's telling us. So it's like whatever, man. And I think mid moves really fast, and I think at some point maybe you just don't care to keep up anymore, or you just don't have it in you, like the care, the passion, whatever. And yeah, it's difficult. But when you're young, you just focus is absolute. So
I was going to ask a little bit back to your playing career. You attended the International with MVP Hot Six. Was the International the peak of your playing career, would you say?
yeah, I would think so. I mean, maybe a little bit before that because our international run wasn't so hot, and it was unfortunate. I think we could have shown a much better showing than what we did, but I guess international kind of exposes you for what your team really is under all the pressure and whatnot. So maybe we deserve what we got.
It was a good team. You, Jerax, MP, Forev, these are people who have gone on to do amazing things. Did it feel like there was a lot of raw talent in there?
Yeah, no. Like when it comes to talent, I think like every single one of them certainly I was shown mine, and they actually at one point all of them had become world champions. Heen had won TI with Liquid. Forev and MP had won Dota Pit, beating the world, everyone in that stage, and actually winning Dota Pit, which was incredible. Obviously, Jarex went on to win the TI, so it could have been something amazing. The team, perhaps, but yeah, they were good. All of them amazing players and great Dota minds.
Do you keep in touch with those people a lot? Do you have a lot of? Are you quite connected to the scene?
Yes and no. I find it I find it a little bit cringy. Like in the Korean culture, there's a thing called there's a word called chinmok, which basically means like, oh my god, how do I explain it? It's kind of like companionship, I guess, kind of. So it's kind of looked down upon, which is kind of stupid, but I'm stupid. So it's I keep in touch a lot with Heen. Like we chat a lot. I keep in touch with like MP a bit. All the other guys like so and so, but I don't go out of my way socializing with them because like we're still all in the business, and I don't know. It's kind of frowned upon in Korean culture a bit. The whole like being too friendly with like other pros and stuff. It's a bit of an eyesore, they think.
Because you might accidentally leak all of your strats to Heen or something.
No, it's just like it's for dumb, vain reasons. It's like showing great friendship with others is like people view it as like you're just being vain and showing off or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, I do consider all of them like good friends, and I respect them immensely. But I don't go out of my way showing them that all the time. So they're probably in the blind. But yeah, it's whatever.
Do you find the touring schedule quite tough? Has it been really tough this year?
For me, it's not been so tough. I'm not so tormented by traveling compared to others, but it does suck a lot for, like, say, mid one, because we have to continuously do these qualifiers, and it really sucks for him because we're a European team who qualify from European region, so he has to travel to Europe to play these qualifiers. So what this means is that after we're done with the tournament, he doesn't get to go home. He has to come to like a boot camp and play before we go home. So that sucks. Otherwise, like, it's okay. that would be the only real complaint. Otherwise, everything's okay, I think.
Would you like to see there be invites for a team like Secret, so you'd have to go through that qualifying, or do you think it's fair that you have to?
I would like to see like a halfway. Like I understand why they did what they did, but it just seems so like one extreme to the other. Couldn't there be a more elegant solution to all these problems? Surely there could be. I'm not sure exactly what that would be. I don't even think that's, it's not my job to think about these things. But
Yeah.
the people who have these jobs to think about it, I hope they can find a better solution. Because like it is tiring for the players, I think.
Yeah, but not for you so much, because you seem relatively happy with it, almost.
I'm okay. Some players, I mean, there's 16 teams, so 16 times 5. I mean, then you think of all the staff too. So let's see. So there's roughly about like maybe 100 people traveling to these tournaments for majors and stuff. I'm blessed in that I can sleep in planes. Some of my teammates cannot sleep in planes, and that sucks for them.
Are you planning on sticking around with Team Secret? Are you going to be coaching them next season, do you think?
I mean, I think so, unless they fire me. Hope not. I've been pretty happy with this team. I feel like I owe them a big time. I am here because of them. They gave me a chance to kind of prove myself. I feel like I owe them so much. So I want to be able to contribute and give back the best I can and do well.
Yeah. When I spoke to Heen, he said that he left. I mean, I imagine he's told you in more detail than he told me, but he said that he left Team Liquid because he felt he didn't have ideas to contribute anymore and he needed to refresh himself. Do you often think like that, or are you able to continually adapt and provide new insight to the team?
That sort of like self-doubt is always there. I think it's like, especially when the team loses, there was one time when like we picked Viper and like didn't ban Morphling or whatever. And it's like after the game, I'm like, oh, how could I have been so stupid? Like I have one job, and it's like those things always happen. But I think these are mental traps. And if you're not being useful or whatever, I think the team will let you know, and you'll eventually find yourself in a different spot. So long as it doesn't happen, I don't think you need to really like put yourself in that sort of a mindset. I do try very hard to be, a contributor, because coaches' contributions are not so obvious, especially when it was like for me in my team in Secret and for Heen in Liquid, where we are not the people who clicks heroes. So it's all behind the scenes. But I mean, these are all stupid like insecurities. I'm pretty sure I'm doing a good job, and I'll always be able to contribute. So it's good. I think it's fine.
But their successes feel like your successes, I imagine.
It was less so in the beginning because I don't know, dumb reasons, but it has become more and more feel like, yeah, like I really am part of this team, and I'm very happy. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Their success is my success.
That's nice to hear. Okay, so just to close up, you've got Epicenter in a few weeks and then TI. Are you going to be boot camping a lot? Are you looking forward to it?
I'm not sure what our plans are for like the boot camp. For sure we're going to boot camp. Really, like the purpose of the boot camp is very important. There's like different types of boot camps, what you want to achieve per boot camp. So we'll figure stuff out slowly. I look forward to it, whatever it may be. We'll be talking about it.
I wouldn't really pick something up at this stage of the podcast, but when you talk about different stages of boot camps, what do you mean by that? What's the main different types of boot camp that you'd do?
There's the one where like before TI, say maybe your team needs to become a better of a unit. So then we're not even really talking Dota. We're just talking people. So people just need to come together better. So you're more focused on doing that. Maybe your team is already a unit. And maybe your team then just needs to figure out the game better, or work on your problem solving skills together, whatever, just those kind of things, really.
So you go into a boot camp with a set idea of what you want to achieve with it.
I think that's where we're getting at. All this is like a fetus of ideas, really. Like these are things that we're learning to do as we go along, because we're becoming more mature. We're at understanding how to approach these things. Like you don't get to just have guys in one place and just whip them to playing Dota and it's going to breed success. No, we're learning. We're learning. So like this is gonna be my third TI with Team Secret. Team Secret, and all the things that we've learned in the previous years, we'll apply it this year. And I guess what we're learning this time around is that there's the purpose of a boot camp. I think is important, like how we do it and how do we design all these things.
Okay, yeah. Well, good luck. Okay, so just to close up, is there anything you'd like to bring up or plug yourself?
Well, thank you guys for listening to this podcast. All the supporters of Team Secret. Thank you so much, our manager, Cyborg Matt, who without him wouldn't even be Team Secret, to be honest. He's actually the most amazing guy ever. And that's all. Oh, and our CEO, John. That guy's super awesome too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Position 6 podcast, and a huge thanks to SunBhie for appearing on it. I always massively enjoy talking to coaches, as I think they've got a huge amount of insight into the game, and I love the way they think and how they think about their career and how they think about the careers of others. So I think this was a great episode, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed doing it and then editing it afterwards. Thank you once again for all of your support so far. Again, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I can be found at Daniel Offen, and that's Daniel and then OFFEN. And a link to my Patreon, if you'd like to financially support me, is in the episode description. As a part of this, I'd like to thank 4 of my most favourite supporters. Firstly, Matthew Wigsneski, then Christopher Strong, and then 115, and the entirety of the Jordan Dota community. And then Mr. I've forgotten his name already. Mr. Japrodox. It's a silly gamer tag, although a very good one. He's very much welcome, and he seems like a really nice guy. So again, all of my supporters, but those 4 especially, I'd like to thank, because they really help me produce good content and do things like attend ESO1 Birmingham, where I recorded a load of interviews about the DPC season, which you can find on my Twitter or my YouTube channel. They're good interviews if the sound is a little crappy, so they're more visual experiences if anything, but they're still good interviews, so check those out as I release them over the next couple of weeks. Next week's episode, I'm not announcing next week's guest yet, because you have to go to my Twitter and check out the bad drawings I do a couple of days in advance of the guests so people can guess who's coming on. The episode, though, is a really, really good one, so stay tuned for that, and I think it's someone that people will be very excited about, so I look forward to it being out there. Till then, though, thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next week.